Guys, here is what's going on this week on Storytime Slayer podcast. This is just a short synopsis. In today's story, we have Amanda Heavrin, Melinda Loveless, Laurie Tackett, Hope Rippey, Toni Lawrence, and our victim, 12-year-old Shanda Sharer. Okay, guys, so it is 1991 in southern Indiana, and Melissa Loveless meets Amanda Heavrin, and they are just smitten with each other. They are two lesbian teenage lovers, age 14 or 15, that just cannot get enough of each other. However, around, I'd say the summer of 1992, Amanda is starting to get not so fond of Melinda anymore, all right? And she sets her eyes on this new girl named Shanda Sharer. Amanda's pretty honest with Shanda when they first start talking, and that she feels completely torn between Melinda and Shanda. And Shanda seems okay with that. She's like giving her time, right? They're still seeing each other. They still have this very secret rendezvous relationship, but she's not pushing it. However, Amanda is not completely upfront with Melinda, and she adamantly denies any interest in Shanda or the fact that they're like going to the school dance together, going to haunted houses. She's keeping all of that a secret from Melinda and just slowly trying to back out of her relationship with Melinda. And that is because Melinda was known to have a shitty attitude. Okay, so Melinda tries everything to win Amanda back. She tries being super nice. She tries crying. She tries threatening Amanda, threatening Shanda. She literally does everything she can think of to try and tear the two apart, and it just flat out doesn't work. So Melinda is like, you know what? Screw this. I'm upset. I hate Shanda. And she gets a group of her friends, Toni, Laurie, Hope, and herself, and she decides, you know what? We're going to go kidnap Shanda, and we're going to beat her fucking ass. By the way, none of Melinda's friends even knew who Shanda was. They'd never even met her. So it's super cold. It's January 10th, and they go and they lure Shanda out of her home saying that they were going to take her to meet Amanda. They were friends of Amanda's, and Amanda wanted to meet up with her. And remember, this is 1992. There ain't no texting. There ain't no social media. You got to call the house phone. And old Shonda's parents didn't like Amanda. So Amanda couldn't just call up and talk to Shanda whenever she wanted. They had to communicate through friends and stuff. So having these two strangers come to her house to get her to go meet Amanda wasn't that weird. She goes with them. Shanda was not aware Melinda was in the car, or she would have never gotten in. Melinda was hiding under a blanket with a knife. And though Melinda pops out from under the blanket with a knife and says, surprise! And Shonda's like already crying and begging her, please do not hurt me. I'll leave Amanda alone. I'm so sorry. Melinda says, nope. And they drive Shanda to an abandoned place where Melinda like punches her and hits her a bunch. Ugh, it's awful. However, the girls chickened out and decided they wanted to go somewhere else because they were afraid someone was going to see them there. After one stop at a gas station for gas, a second stop at a gas station for directions, and an hour-long drive, they make it to an abandoned location of a dump site to figure out what they're going to do with Shanda now. Ultimately, make her take off all her clothes and then attempt to... However, it didn't work. The knife was too dull, so they had to ultimately... until she just passed out. Then they put her in the trunk. Not sure what to do, assuming she's probably just going to die in the trunk, they decide that they're going to go back to Laurie's house and just like casually sip some Pepsi and hang out until they can hear Shanda's muffled screams inside. Woo! Knows what to do. Laurie grabs a paring knife from her kitchen, goes out to her car, opens the trunk, and then tries to silence Shanda again, which it works. She quits fighting. And they think for sure, okay, this time she's really gonna in the trunk, right? Okay, so 2:30 in the morning, Laurie and Melinda decide, okay, let's just go alone. We're gonna take Shanda in the trunk. We're gonna wait for her to, and we're gonna figure out what to do with her. So they're driving. and they're driving, and I think they really think that she's gonna soon. And so they're like, all right, we'll figure out what to do with her, until she starts banging on the trunk again. This time, Laurie's like, all right, I'm ending this for good. And she takes a tire iron back there to the trunk, and she caves in. Shanda's. Okay? However, Shanda is still alive and in a zombie-like state, and she is gurgling, and her eyes are rolling back in her head, and she says, Mommy. Girls just keep driving around, just hoping Shanda would just finally pass away. Okay? Knowing that she can't really hoot and holler anymore, they decide, okay, let's go ahead and just go back to Laurie's house. It is now sunrise. They've been driving all night. Every so often they've had to stop to try and silence Shanda. The tire iron was their ultimate attempt, and it still did not work. So they're like, what do we do, right? I'll tell you what they did. They went and picked up Hope and Toni from Laurie's house, drove around with them until ultimately deciding they were going to light Shanda on fire alive. Yeah. Hope gives them directions to a remote location where they did indeed set her ablaze while she was alive, badly beaten, blood everywhere. And that is how she ultimately died. Very heinous crime, very tragic. And to tune into the rest of it, just go to Storytime Slayer. It's available anywhere that you can podcast.